Good morning. Guess it's my turn. What will you learn? I am stepping out in faith this morning. I was speaking to Reverend Marlene and I said, I'm going off book this morning. And she said, huh? In the theater, off book is when you do not use a script. Okay, so when you're using a script, it's on book. But when the director says by November 15th, we are going to be off book, that means you cannot use your script. So Eddie so inspired me last week. There are no words. Sometimes there are no words. That I said, you know what? In order to be effective, more effective, I'm going to go off book. So I have a couple of notes here and there so that I don't, because I have a tendency to wander. When you hit your 60s, your mind starts to wander. You head into the kitchen to get something, and by the time you get into the kitchen, you forgot what you went there for. So you do that. And how old are you? I feel better now. My opening is written because I want to make sure I stay on task. Then I'm going to go off book. Stepping out in faith, listening to Eddie tell his story about his brother last week reminded me of a situation I had with my two sons when they were growing up. My sons are 10 years apart, almost to the day. One is October 5th, one is October 13th, 1971 and 73 and 83. And when my older son was about 6 or 7, he started coming to me and saying, it's about time for my brother to come here. And I said, well, Kijana, I'm not married and I'm not in a very healthy relationship, so I don't think I should have another child at this time. He's like, okay, Ma. Bacchus and Beatty said that you need to prepare for my brother. So I'm saying, who is Bacchus and Beatty? And he says, oh, they're just some friends of mine. Okay, so I let it go. About a year later, Mom, my brother said to tell you he's tired of waiting. And I said, Kijana, what are you talking about? Who is? He said, well, he comes, and he held up his teddy bear. He said, he's in my teddy bear. And he talks to me. And he said that if you don't hurry up and have him, he's going to have to come through another mom because he has to get here to do his work. This is from an 8-year-old. Okay, and I'm just like, so then I'm saying, my son is tapped in. So I said, look, ask Bacchus and Beatty, am I going to make a lot of money this year? And I'm telling you, for the next year, I would drill my son with these questions, and he would come up with these answers, and 9 times out of 10, he was on point. Finally, one day I asked him a question, and he said, Mom, Bacchus and Beatty said you asked too many questions. That's the last time I asked a question. The next time he came to me, he was 9, and he said, Mom, this is it. This is it. This is a 9-year-old. My brother needs to get here. Within 2 months, I was pregnant. Okay, so we talk about miracles and blessings and brothers. I saw Eddie, I don't know if he's in the room, but I saw him in Granson Hall. Brothers and the connection between brothers, whether they be twins or 10 years apart, it's awesome. They had a connection before they were even manifested on the earth plane. I've always understood it's not me doing my work. And so humility is one of the cornerstones of my existence. People usually, when they get to know me, say, but you're so down to earth, because they expect me to be snobby and arrogant because I've led a wonderfully miraculous, celebrity-filled life. So they expect that I'm going to be, I'm better than you, I'm higher than you, I know Michael, and I was at Janet's house, and blah, 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 blah. It's not true because God prepared me as a child for what I was going to do, and he constantly reminded me that it was he within me doing the works and not me. And for some reason, at my young age, I grasped that it was not me, and so remembered that as he pushed me higher and higher into mortal greatness. This is not only true in my profession as a producer, but also as a teacher and as an energetic healer. And one of the most exciting things for the whole class, not just me, is when that one singer who's been singing out of tune for the whole year gets it. And the class is singing, and we're like, hey, Harvey, why aren't you singing? I am singing. And it's like, wow, he did it. And the whole class, I think we're more excited than the person who's finally singing on pitch, because it seems like it's a miracle, but it's not. It's God working through that young person, and it's wonderful. As a third-degree Reiki master, I belong to a network of clairvoyants and healers. My spiritual mentor called me the unconscious clairvoyant. Clairvoyants see pictures. I hear pictures. And that seems really strange because the words don't seem to make sense. But what a clairvoyant sees, I see you, and I hear statements of truth. And I didn't like hearing statements of truth, so I wouldn't talk about it. But every once in a while, God makes you talk about it. He just sends it through to you, and I'll blurt out things, and I don't know why I'm saying them, and they make absolutely no sense. But a week later, or a month later, or even a year later, it comes to pass. And anecdote number 2. McDonald's hired me to produce a cassette back then called the McDonald's African American Heritage Series. And it was for Black History Month, and it was present-day heroes talking about heroes that helped them to be who they are. In other words, Charles Rangel talked about Thurgood Marshall. Judith Jamison from Alvin Ailey talked about Katherine Dunham. John Faddis talked about Dizzy Gillespie. So we had present-day heroes talking about past-day heroes. And this was given away free in McDonald's during the month of February. If you bought a whatever, anything free with purchase. Okay, so the first year went great. It was a huge success, so they asked me to do it a second year. And this is what happened the second year. I need to find my paper because I did my research. The cassette was released in February for Black History Month. In January, all of the trailblazers that I had selected died. Every one. Dizzy Gillespie, within days of each other. Dizzy Gillespie, Thurgood Marshall, Marian Anderson, all died in the month of January. So when the cassette came out in February, everybody was like, ooh, you know, how did you know? And I didn't know, but I knew. Unconsciously, subconsciously, God-spirited knew that these people were going to leave the earth plane. And so this cassette was an incredible success because they really were today heroes, talking about heroes who had gone on. I guess goosebumps just thinking about that because I did not have a clue. Needless to say, that was the last one that was done because nobody would let me do it after that. I called all my friends. I called, oh, come on. Who was the mayor? Mayor Dinkins? You're not talking about me. I'm not ready to go. So there was no more African American Heritage Series. And now, this brings me to probably one of the most incredible, quote, miracles that has happened to me in my life. In my studies, I constantly battle fear. I'm sure most of us battle fear. So one morning I got up and I said, you know what? There is no such thing as fear. I'm not going to fear. And I had a dog named Mookie. And I only took Mookie for walks in a certain area because where I used to live, there were a lot of stray dogs. And I didn't want to deal with a stray dog coming up and trying to start a fight or whatever. So I said, okay, today, Mookie, we're going to step out in faith. We're going to walk down this block we have never walked down before. And so we set out on our little walk. And about 4 blocks away, I turned down the corner. And when I got to the next corner, in a fenced yard, was a dog who looked exactly like Marmaduke. You remember Marmaduke from the cartoons? He was huge. I'm sure in my mind he was larger than he really was in life, but he was big. And I'm saying the Lord's Prayer. I'm saying 23rd Psalm. I'm quoting all the scripture I can think of. But I'm afraid, okay? That which thou fears the most comes upon them, whatever that scripture says. So I'm going to walk by this fence. So I took the dog. Come on, Mookie, we're going to do this. I took 2 steps. Marmaduke jumped the fence. And he was headed toward us. He was this big. Mookie was a chow. He was a red chow. So he was like here. And I'm frozen. I'm like, do I let the leash go and let Mookie fend for himself? Because the dog ain't after me, he's after Mookie. So I'm like, and all these thoughts are going through my head. And I heard a voice say, are you all right? And I turned around, and there was a guy in a white pickup truck. He got out of the truck, chased Marmaduke. Obviously, he jumped the fence, but he had also dug a hole under the fence. So when he ran back, he ran under the fence back into the yard. And I'm still shaking just thinking about it. And this was quite some time ago. And he turned to me, he says, are you all right? You going to be okay now? Do you want me to take you home? I said, no, I'm fine. And I reached down to grab Mookie. And when I turned around, the truck was gone. I had never heard a truck drive up because I said that was probably because I was so afraid. This is how I justified it in my mind. But, I mean, in a split, I did like this to say thank you again. No truck, no sound, no nothing. So that was a miracle. That was God within me, protecting me, manifesting a life form to protect me. That was a true miracle. Okay, that was a real true miracle. Needless to say, I never walked down that block again, though. People talk all the time about miracles and blessings. The thought is that miracles is when God steps in and takes over in a situation and produces results that man are incapable of. Actually, miracles are when we, as spiritual beings, express the power and presence of the Christ presence that is within us. God, through us, not outside of us, does the work. I was in the studio one day, and as a producer, this particular day I chose not to sing. So I was in the control room with the engineer, and the singers were outside in the control room. It was a Low-and-Brow holiday commercial. And what as I usually do, I was singing the background parts to the singers. I rarely wrote stuff down. Back then, most African-American jingle singers did not read music anyway, so I would sing them the parts, and then they would do it. And so I'm pressing the talkback button, and I'm singing the parts to my friend Janice, who was the contractor for the date, and she was assigning each person a part. And it was sounding great. And finally, I looked at the engineer, and the engineer was pale. He was white as a ghost. And I said, Tim, his name was Tim. I said, Tim, what's wrong? He said, Deb, you're not pressing the talk back, you're pressing the clock. All this time, I thought I was pressing the talk back button, and I was pressing the clock. It's like a stopwatch that tells you how many seconds has gone by. Yet, she was hearing the parts that I was singing to her, even though there was no way on earth she could be hearing them because I was pressing the wrong button. We had done the whole commercial like that. We were spooked for the rest of the day. Miracle or blessing, the power of intuition, okay? Sound travels like energy. That's why music is so powerful. That's why you get moved by certain songs and certain singers, because the vibrational energy transcends space and time and everything. So that was another, was it a miracle? Was it a blessing? Or was it just us expressing God? In his book, Jesus Christ Heals, Charles Fillmore eloquently put into words the essence of a miracle. And I would like to read a little bit of it to you. It's only a paragraph. Spirit is the source of soul and body, hence the ruling power. Its works are so swift and so transcend the limitations of matter that the natural man cannot comprehend them and hence calls them miracles. But all things are done under law. Prayer was made earnestly of the church unto God for him, and Peter was delivered from prison by an angel, and they called it a miracle. So it is God working through us. It is not anything, it's us. We have the power, our God essence. The wallet. Let me tell you about the wallet. My husband and I order Chinese at least once a week. One day I came home with a plant. I usually come home with a plant. And in taking the plant out of my car, I took my wallet and put my wallet on the hood of the car. Don't ask me. I was excited about the plant. Okay? So being excited about the plant, my wallet stayed on the hood of the car. And I bought the plant in the house. We said, what do you want for dinner, honey? I want Chinese. Okay, he called Chinese. So when the Chinese delivery guy came to the house, he parked in the driveway. He obviously saw my wallet sitting on top of the hood and thought, freebie for me. So he took my wallet. I didn't know. I'm on Facebook about an hour later, and I get a Facebook message from my girlfriend in Chicago. She said, Debbie, you need to call this person. She has your wallet. I thought it was one of those scams, you know, like I'm stuck in Germany, please send me $1,500. I really did. I thought it was one of those scams. I'm like, you shouldn't have my wallet. I just bought a plant. I've got my wallet. So I ignored it. And then she called me. She said, Deb, call Sharamundi. She's got your wallet. And I said, hold on, D. So I went, looked at my purse, no wallet. So I called this person, and her name was Sharamundi. And she said, you know, I was driving down 17. She said, and I don't know why. She said, but I looked out of the window, and in the gully was a wallet. She said, and I would never stop and pick, you know, what, you know, I thought it was the old wallet somebody threw out the window. They had gotten a new wallet. She said, but something had me pull over to the side of 17 and get out and get this wallet out of a ditch. She said, and when I opened the wallet, I saw your picture, and I knew it was yours. And she didn't even know I had met her one time. I had met her one time, so she knew who I was. She didn't know how to reach me, so she called Dee in Chicago and said, Dee, call Deb in Jacksonville and tell Deb I have her wallet. Everything was in it. He was obviously only looking for cash, of which I don't carry any because I spend it all. Kept my driver's license, all my credit cards, my debit cards, everything was intact, but the $2 that I had in there. Now, what would possess her driving down 17 on her way home from work to look over in a ditch and see a wallet and then think to stop and pick up the wallet and then to look and, oh, I know this person. And then we would call that a miracle, but it's really not a miracle. It's me, through the Spirit of God, getting my stuff back. Okay? Okay? And you put the wheels in motion and then God takes over. And sometimes he does stuff in a roundabout way to say, hey, it's me, I'm here, we're one. Okay? So I've had quite a few miracles because I'm hard-headed. When you're hard-headed, you have a lot of miracles. Miracles are God trying to get your attention. That's all miracles are. God trying to get your attention. And I'm really excited because I have one more. I want to talk about my dad. I'm going to close. I'm going to tell you one more miracle about my dad. And I'm sure if any of you have really close people who've passed to the other side, some of you may have experienced this. My dad died on my birthday. On my 19th birthday, I was in Ohio, and obviously he was in New York. The family was in New York. So I got a call on my birthday from my sister saying that my dad had a cerebral aneurysm, which is what I had about 5 years ago. Oh, it's been 5 years, guys. Do you realize that? And so by the time I got home, he was in a coma. He was in a vegetative state, but he was still alive. And I just leaned over and I said, Dad, I'm here. You can go now. And an hour later, he made his transition. And it was really tough on me because my dad and I were like that. I used to tell people I was my dad's first son. He had 4 girls. I was the first. He actually had 2 because I had 2 stepsisters. And he always wanted a boy. So he taught me all the things that he would have taught a son. But I didn't realize that he was preparing me for a career where I was the only woman in a field of men. I was the only woman for about 10 years who was doing what I do. And all of those things he taught me helped me to be successful. But here's the miracle. It's really not a miracle. It's my dad. Whenever I would sit in his easy chair, he had a red leather, it was probably pleather back in the day, easy chair that nobody would sit in. And whenever I was home from school and would sit in that chair, he would turn the light on and off and on and off. The minute I got up, it would stop. So and I would sit there and I would just talk to him. And he would, yes, he would turn the light on. Or I think two clicks was for yes and one was for no. Dad, is it you? Click, click. You know, you okay? You know, I'm okay. And we would have conversations and it would make my mother so mad. She's like, why are you talking to the lamp? And I said, Mom, it's Dad. But she didn't get it. And I talked to my dad like that for about 5 years before I was over it enough that he could leave and go do his work on the other side. And at that time, I thought that was a miracle, but it really wasn't. It was my dad. It was God working through my dad's spirit to heal me. And for that, I am grateful. I would like to close today with this scripture from John 14, 10, 11. Don't you believe that I am in the Father and that the Father is in me? The words I say to you, I do not speak on my own authority. Rather, it is the Father living in me who is doing the work. Jesus did just that. He healed the sick, walked on water, and even raised the dead. These miracles helped to support his claim that he was the true God come to earth, physical form, to save mankind. Jesus said, believe me when I say I am in the Father and the Father is in me, or at least believe on the evidence of the miracles themselves. Now let's prepare for meditation. Close your eyes or focus your gaze on one small area. Start by relaxing your muscles. When thoughts come to mind, disregard them, thinking, or, oh well, and turn your attention back to your body. Let your muscles become loose and relaxed, starting with your feet, your ankles, lower legs, knees, upper legs, pelvis, torso, back, shoulders, arms, hands, face, and head. Feel your body loose and relaxed. Turn your attention now to your breathing. Notice each breath without trying to change your breathing in any way. Just observe. As thoughts arise, acknowledge them and let them go, returning your attention to your breathing. Breathe naturally and slowly. As your thoughts wander, simply return your attention to your breathing. Notice your breath as it flows gently in and out of your body without any effort. Acknowledge your thoughts and focus again on your breathing. Interruptions are normal. Just let these thoughts go and return your attention to your breathing. Now think of the meaningful word or phrase. Say this word or phrase in your mind as you exhale. Each time you breathe out, say your word or phrase. As your thoughts wander, bring your attention again to repeating your meaningful statement with each out-breath. Continue repeating the word or phrase each time you exhale. Bring your attention back to the word or phrase you are repeating with each gentle breath out. With passive acceptance, continues to focus on the word or phrase, repeating it each time you breathe out, allowing distracting thoughts to float by. Now slowly begin to reawaken and turn your attention to your breathing. Notice your calm, smooth breaths in and out. Allow your awareness to turn now to your body, calm and relaxed. Notice how your body feels. Become more aware of your surroundings. Sit quietly for a moment with your eyes open, enjoying the feeling of relaxation while gradually reawakening. Adjust your position slightly. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Roll your shoulders. Stretch if you like. And when you are ready, take a deep breath, open your eyes, and welcome yourself back to the now. And so it is.